why would I even get a Neo? So this is the Neo. So before we unbox Neo, I do wanted to clarify. I know I already have a very powerful laptop, which is my MacBook Pro with M4 chip, even though it's only 14-inch, but it's so heavy to carry around. A lot of the time, I have to either carry a big tote just to fit my Pro. Also on top of that, I have other things to carry. So it's just a lot of weight on my shoulder and it's causing a lot of issues. So I do have another video going into details of what happened to my neck and my shoulder. And that is a very big reason why I need an alternative when I'm doing something more light. When I see Neo, I thought of it as a perfect admin laptop. Now, we're gonna unbox it together. I was considering the lime color, but since it's a Neo, it's already different in my ecosystem. I want something different. That's why I picked a blue. I love the size of a Neo. It's actually the same. You know, when I look at the photo on the packaging, I'm like, how good is the printing? I'm really surprised. This is actually very correct. So tiny, I love that. It's a really good size. I'm using my hand as a measurement. This is so perfect. I really love how tiny this is. So I'm gonna actually bring out my city bag and then see if I can fit this one in there. It does fit in my city bag. I know the size doesn't seem like there's a huge difference, but the weight is there. We're gonna turn it on and then test out some apps that I normally use on the actual Pro and see the workflow as well. Okay, it's been about an hour. I downloaded some essential apps I use daily for my workflow as a graphic designer and content creator. First off, I have 2 Adobe Illustrator files opened already. I've tried editing a little and everything works pretty smooth so far. So I'm opening up this retype tool because usually this took a few minutes running and yep, not bad. We just need to re-download some of the font files since this is a new laptop. Also, let's check out a packaging file like this one I'm working on. I added the measurements and just trying to test out Illustrator on Neo as a typical designer. Okay, another design app I use a lot is Adobe XD. I use this mostly for social graphics, website wireframe, and some branding concepts. I've opened 2 files here. You can see in this one, there are a lot of artboards, but even with Illustrator still open in the background, these 2 files work perfectly, and I can hit preview, no weird delay. Okay, so we have 2 Adobe apps running now. Let's open up a third one, which is Photoshop. Not gonna lie, I was a little worried about using Photoshop on Neo, since Photoshop has always been using the most memory on my laptop because how we would be editing photos or working on large mockup files. But yeah, I'm gonna test out editing a photo with generative features first. Let's remove these objects. Hope this won't take long or crash. Now let's test with a real mockup file. My friend Paul, the founder of Akoya Mockups, sent me his new collection, and I guess we're gonna find out if this is how Neo feels us. Okay, the mockup file is 274 megabyte considering we have now 3 Adobe apps running in the background with 8 GB of RAM on this Neo. I really hope it doesn't crash. The quality looks so good with this mockup collection. I'm just gonna mess around and stress test a little. Okay, I'm noticing slowness when I'm zooming in, but other than that, I guess I'll have to try actually adding design to mockup later. This is just testing out if even opening up a large file could affect the performance on Neo. Okay, another thing we should do is open both Google Chrome and Safari. I was once a heavy Chrome user, but after a major issue happened with my old MacBook before M1, I realized the Chrome takes up more resources, which is why when I have tons of tabs open, my old MacBook just crashes. Alright, we're gonna test out Wom 3D on Google Chrome. This is a browser-based 3D modeling platform since it heavily utilizes the browser's graphic engine, which could lead to high power draw and memory consumption. Well, I don't see huge loading issue with this cute 3D computer. Let's try changing the light setting. Yes, now I see the glowing part, super cute. Alright, it passes the browser-based 3D tool. Now with Safari, I have 10 tabs opened. Normally, it would be more, but I want to check out a few things. Obviously, we should test out Adobe Firefly. Some people suggested 16GB RAM for advanced AI tools, so we're gonna find out. This is a photo I generated the other day. I'm gonna add some flowers around. Okay, and a puppy. Oh, it doesn't look good. Maybe just a fluffy cat. with more daisy flowers. Dreamy. Okay, we got Adobe Firefly working on Neo. Then of course Pinterest, probably the least concerning, is just for browsing purposes. ChatGPT. I thought to start with this one besides my Claude. It's the basic one probably most people already have and it's working fine. I'm also a web designer, so I do want to check out ReadyMac, which is one of my favorite website builders. This is also a browser-based tool, so it can be highly memory intensive on a MacBook Neo. Let me also test out my ASCII art converter. Okay, I think Neo is so far working great for some multitasking situations as a graphic designer. Now for content creation, I use CapCut for general day-to-day video editing, and if there's more intensive editing needs, I'll use Premiere Pro. This is a video file with clips shot in 4K 60fps format on my DJI Osmo Pocket 3. These are considered pretty large video footage, which heavily utilizes your system resources, so surprisingly the file took only a few seconds to load up and the playback speed is still good. Here's another reason why I made, also with 4K 60fps video clips. Honestly, I might need to edit a new video on here just to see if we will run into more issue. But here you can see CapCut definitely works on Neo. Okay, I guess the Neo is not so bad as we thought with the Apple A18 Pro chip. As a graphic designer and content creator, I can see myself working on this budget-friendly machine for light to mid-level tasks. But still, if you are considering doing more heavy and professional work, I definitely recommend MacBook Pro if you have higher budget, but a MacBook Air with M4 or M5 chips can still be a really good option.